Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, November 11th, 2016, and this is episode 181. So we've been coming to these Hangouts for, as you can tell, many episodes prior to this, and this Hangout has been something that has been available for people who have an interest in cryptocurrency, who want to attend meetups and listen to individuals who are working on cryptocurrency projects or blockchain projects in a space where transparency is very hard to find. And our goal is to ensure that the people who have a project are able to get noticed and have their work looked at and noticed by the individuals who are out in the space who are looking for good projects to support. Supporting these types of projects that are transparent with the people who buy in helps to kind of set a de facto standard to which others in the future are going to have to kind of adhere. So the transparency becomes a standard in and of itself. And the one problem that most people run into when they want to go to hangouts or meetups about these things is the geographical barriers to entry. Oftentimes, in your local area, there are very few meetups, and you have to go to a larger city to get into them. Often, most people don't necessarily live in a big city, so it's hard to get into these meetups. However, whenever we bring it onto a medium like the Mumble Hangouts, we're opening up that barrier to entry to make it so anybody can join up and discuss their projects when they would like to. So for those of you who are here, who are doing this, who are joining to guest speak, I want to always thank you, because you are the ones who are setting that standard and exemplifying it. So that's, the exemplification part is probably the most difficult part, because you have to actually walk the walk. But I want to say that I am proud that I've been connected with so many projects who are willing to be so open in the wild, wild west blockchain crypto space. So with that said, today we're joined by Jonathan Bahai and Michael Maloney from PeerPlays, Virtual Growth of SteemBets Faddat, and he's going to be talking about the new website, the Beyond Bitcoin website, and template for future websites that can join us in our little network, and CM Steem of Gridcoin. So with that said, Jonathan, you are first, thanks to the upvotes that your community have given you on Steam. Are you ready to go?
Certainly am.
Well, then I'll go ahead and hand off the talking stick and have a seat.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs, the company which is heading up the PeerPlays project. And this week's update, a couple of interesting things. We've launched a private testnet specifically for the brand new PeerPlays wallet. And so this PeerPlays wallet has a whole new design to it. I alluded to this last week. I may not have mentioned that it's actually programmed completely in Redux. So we've departed from the existing technology which BitShare's current graphene wallet is built with, and we've moved to a whole other schema. So with this, we've got all kinds of advantages and enhancements which are going to allow us to be able to move forward with the PeerPlays platform in a way that is more efficient and effective with everything that we have to introduce. And so that's exciting. In addition to that, we've also created a whole new type of sign-in process, which is going to enable users to actually have password recovery. Not one to get into the technical details of this, but as you all know, when it comes to crypto, if you lose your keys, you're done. When it comes to being hacked, you're done. But in this module that we created, we're enabling end users to actually have the capability to go through a process which will allow them to securely be able to recover the keys to their account and be able to password recovery. That's all there is to it. So don't want to get into the technicals of that, but this is very exciting because as you all know, if when people lose access to their account, they've lost it forever and nobody can do anything about it. This is going to give people comfort and security, knowing that if they've lost their information, they can still find a way to recover it. So that is also in development now. So we're very excited that we've designed that. The test net is still underway. We are looking at last week we talked about that by not this week, but next week we would be introduce the actual mystery game, and we're still on course for that. So that's good. And what else? We still have our Michael Maloney in Hong Kong, still working with our partners on there, so that's very good. And yeah, I believe those are pretty much the highlights for what's happened in this past week with PeerPlays. So for now, I'm going to hand it off to Michael if there are any questions as well.
Sure. Well, first off, I don't know if Michael will want to answer this or not. But this will be to either of you. It was a question that came up while you were talking, though, Data. So it was specifically in relation to something that you brought up. So he says here, with respect to the password recovery, if somebody used all of my funds, does it recover those? Sorry,
you mean that if your account got hacked and they go in there and they lost and they basically transferred it away? No, it wouldn't recover your funds. It's only something which is going to allow you to get back into your account.
Okay, and the second question is the blockchain actually immutable?
Yes, our password recovery doesn't affect the immutability of the blockchain.
Thank you very much. And that question was from Faddat, so thank you, Faddat.
Sure thing.
Are you going to open source that solution?
All of PeerPlays technology will be eventually open sourced. That's correct.
Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. So the PeerPlays wallet itself is going to eventually be open sourced as well?
Yes, all of the front-end architecture will be open source. The necessity of that, just from the standpoint of provable fairness, is a requirement in order to fulfill that. So we've got a number of different options we're looking at in terms of licensing and things like that. So it won't just be something that anyone can copy and do what they want with to a large extent. And that's, of course, to protect the interest of PeerPlays holders. But the technology, the code itself will be available for anyone to look at and examine.
Thank you. V-Ball Cool is saying, is there a link to download the new wallet?
No, the new wallet is on a private testnet right now. We actually briefly considered even releasing a few teaser screenshots of it, but we decided against that because we've seen even that happen before, and I sort of won't bring up, but I'm sure some of you will be familiar with some of the instances in which screenshots have been released, and most people are going to look at that and basically say, okay, yeah, great, where's the product? And since we are all about under promising and over delivering here, we're going to our focus is on delivering usable products when they are delivered, and doing so in such a way that it doesn't really, create sort of cheap, unnecessary hype. I will tell you just personally that the wallet looks very, very good. I think it looks excellent, actually, and it looks better than any of the other wallets that are out there. There's a particular wallet I have in mind that is probably equal to the style and the function of this one. So it's very sleek. It's very well designed. It's going to be very intuitive. I think a lot of people are going to look at it and go, oh my God, we need something like this for BitShares and every other graphene chain. So in that way, I think I imagine that will be a sentiment that a lot of people express when they see what it is that we've done. Essentially, I'll just, for sort of a brief description, we've focused on putting together a schema, as it were, is going to that's very familiar to everyone. So, one of the main complaints about the current BitShares wallet, the current graphene wallet, is the how difficult it is to use, how the lack of intuitive nature of it. Nobody who uses any of the other centralized exchanges can jump over to the graphene wallet, the current graphene wallet, and easily understand it. Things are organized in different ways. They're presented in different ways. There were even people in the BitShares community that had a hard time figuring it out when it first came out. So, we've completely redesigned it. Not only have we completely redesigned it, the exchange features, the deposit and withdrawal features, the asset issuing and asset management features, the voting and governance features, but we've also, like Jonathan mentioned, redesigned the code architecture. We've integrated it with Redux, the front end, rather than I believe the coding language is called Alt, the current front end coding language that is used in the wallet. So we've redesigned the architecture so that it's going to be more smooth functioning even than what currently exists. So yeah, it's really exciting, and we may still put out a screenshot or two in a few weeks. If once we get to the point where we have a clear line in terms of we know that we'll actually be releasing the final product. We won't be releasing it for being able to use until the PeerPlays blockchain launches. But as of right now, it appears that immediately upon launch of the PeerPlays blockchain, that we will also have this usable wallet, which greatly simplifies things, including the voting and governance features, which we know is very important and going to be very important going forward. For not just PeerPlays really, but every graphene chain, but especially PeerPlays because of the nuances of the things that witnesses are going to be doing. Witnesses are going to have, like we've mentioned before, more complex and nuanced jobs than just signing the blocks. So having the organizational tools necessary and the tools for people to vote and not to mention just simply making it a lot more easy to use the exchange and on and off ramp and things like that. These are all very important, and this is the reason why we chose to redesign everything from the ground up. So yeah.
Now, just real quickly, you guys have any questions for Michael right now?
Well,
Okay, well, I thought I heard somebody say something. I do have some questions, but I don't want to, cut in. I want to kind of give everybody a chance to talk if possible. Talkinator says the redesign affects merely the web wallet interface.
So the PeerPlays wallet is actually going to be a downloadable executable file, a desktop client, because of the nature of having games on chain and having the wagering and sort of gambling aspect to it. PeerPlays, we will not be running a web wallet of it. It will be technically possible, although we're still looking into the licensing agreement. We probably won't license the wallet for that, which means that if someone wants to run a web wallet, they'll basically have to create their own wallet, like we have. And of course, naturally, you can't prevent anyone from doing that because of the open source nature and the sort of unilateral nature of the capability of interacting with the blockchain as a database. But with the wallet that we'll be releasing will be a desktop client. So I'm looking at the question here. Does that answer the question?
I think it does, but maybe Talkinator can tell us. Okay, yes.
Yeah, Joey D is asking, is it still cross-platform? Yeah, I mean it'll be Linux, Mac, and Windows. I think are the main platforms, the standard platforms that it'll work on. In terms of mobile wallet, we don't actually currently have a mobile wallet version of the generic client, but we do have as the apps that we're working on, and you can read a little bit more about that on our website. Those will be basically straight to mobile. There'll also be desktop client of those as well, but we're really going to be focusing on the mobile app marketplace for the apps, specifically for the bookmaking app and for the lottery app, and so that will sort of be those will be standalone mobile apps that interact with the PeerPlays blockchain. So, but the basic wallet, the wallet that has the exchange features, the wallet that has the voting, that we don't currently have a mobile app for that. Although that's something on the agenda for down the road. But for the very first release, it will just be a desktop version.
So somebody already took my question to a degree, which was you kind of answered it, I guess, which was, will there be a reason for running a web wallet service in the future, rather? But you kind of answered that. There's really no need, essentially, kind of like whereas BitShares, it makes it so it's easy for anybody can kind of start up their own decentralized exchange, right? Or the front end interface that people can interface with the DEX, right? And they can brand it in their own way and let certain tokens be traded, omit certain tokens from being traded, all that stuff. Is that going to be pretty much the same in PeerPlays?
Well, BitShares ostensibly, as exchange business and exchange focus. Our PeerPlays, the exchange was simply a bonus sort of a relic of the existing software. I mean, there are definitely real purposes that it serves, but the main focus of the business is on the games and on the gaming aspect of it. So in that regard, having a desktop client is well within the bounds of the expected or the industry standards. If you look at something like PokerStars, for example, the largest poker playing website in the world, in order to play, you need to download the desktop client and play on the desktop client. So, just in the gaming world in general, it's a very standard to have a downloadable client that you're using. While web services are convenient, web-based services are convenient. There's also a liability. There's also a liability for anyone who does this because of the nature of not being able to explain the difference to anyone in a legal sense. The fact that you're merely running a hosted wallet onto the blockchain rather than hosting the service on your server. That's going to be a subtle distinction that may be difficult to differentiate when you get a cease and desist letter from some local government or whatever that you're running a gambling operation on your website. So this just sort of makes it a lot easier to avoid that altogether, to avoid not only that from a standpoint of people individually obviously can make their own choices, but just from a PR standpoint as well. Having companies getting shut down for running PeerPlays is not good PR. And so being able to avoid that by simply making PeerPlays a desktop client and there's nobody to shut down in that instance. It can be distributed, in many different ways, and it's just a piece of software that people are running on their computer and connecting to the network. So.
And like you said, the demographic is just as used to downloading a program to be able to utilize a service as they would be to log into a web service.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, it's not really a barrier to entry at all. I mean, you have a more sophisticated crowd anyway. It's people who are going and they have a purpose. There's more to it. They're not so ADD, that if they can't get something in 12 seconds, they're moving on, But furthermore, I think that mobile apps are also downloaded and installed, so that everyone does that. Anyone who uses a mobile app has to download it and install it. So that fits the same model. So yeah, in terms of, I guess the question was about, business opportunities, someone running a web wallet. We haven't really seen that utilized with BitShares besides with Jonathan and with Ronnie of OpenLedger. Jonathan is running Freedom Ledger right now, and then I think the guys from MakerCoin. Toast and Rune are both running a version of the wallet, but it hasn't, it's there, and it's
Moonstone.
Moonstone, yeah, Moonstone. So there's some examples of people who've done that. How successful they've been in their businesses and business models. I'm not privy to their internal accounting and whether or not they've made a lot of money with that, and it's been part of the and that it's been a hugely successful. I mean, there's a difference between the theoretical opportunities and working models of people actually using them. I assume that Ronnie is making money with his business. I assume because he's got a lot going on and he's able to continue to operate. I don't any of those other ones that we mentioned. I'm not aware of the internal workings of them. So, but in any case, yeah, it's a slightly different model, but it's a model that makes sense for us. And at the end of the day, like I said,
Sure.
The reality is once we grow to a certain size and a certain stage, or sometime in the future, if if governments decide to deregulate or there's lots of different things that could happen in the future. But the architecture of the blockchain itself makes it possible for anyone to create their own web wallet. They just have to go through the development process of doing all that, and they'd have to be, of course, they'd have to have some business model that was, that they were convinced would make that time and effort and money worth it to do that.
Now, you were talking a lot about how the focus was going to be on the gaming aspect of PeerPlays, right? And Custom Miner actually asks a question here. Will there be user-created games on PeerPlays in the future, or only quote-unquote official games?
Yeah, so that's a question that speaks to the state of the technology that exists, and I can explain a little bit in terms of what exists right now and what sort of exists in the theoretical realm. Naturally, we're always looking to sort of move towards the future and future-proof things, and we I think in this community in general, especially anyone who's been involved with BitShares or Graphene, is pretty much on the very tip of the technological advancement the curve. People understand when I say things like I can talk about what can potentially happen, can potentially evolve into that. If that question is asked, by someone who is familiar with, for example, Ethereum, and Ethereum has, in all these circumstances and all these different models, you have to sort of give a little from one place in order to receive from somewhere else. So in the case of Ethereum, it's wonderful that right away, people can get on, they can start developing, they can write code, they can essentially just do that unilaterally. They don't need permission from anyone, and that's been very attractive. A lot of developers are like, well, great, this allows me to be creative and do exactly what I want. But that comes with, in my personal opinion, very severe limitations in terms of a number of other things. Right? It's not. The scalability is still very much in question. In terms of making sort of industrial scale applications, the sort of limitations in only being able to use the ETH token, as your instrument of interaction on the app. It's basically predicated on the ETH token becoming as a currency. The value of or the value proposition of the ETH token itself being basically the notion that this has value because it's what you need to use to pay to fuel these contracts. Even the concept of fueling the contracts themselves and how much it costs and to use resources and how scalable that is all sort of very. It's a model that hasn't at all been proven to be able to be scalable, successful, in my opinion. Now, I just sort of veered off and talked about Ethereum there when the question was about PeerPlays, but the reason I did that is because when people, in my experience, ask about whether or not people can just build games directly onto it, if you understand how graphene works, that is not possible right now. The model with graphene is that the network comes to consensus about what smart contracts are forked into the network as a whole. Now, that said, this is where the discussion of side chains comes in, and there's a lot of people that discuss side chains, and it's all sort of a fantasy realm in terms of they just label things. Yes, it'll all be possible. Let's just build a side chain, and people don't really have any clue as to the state of the technology and what it means to actually do that. We do have, and this is something I've mentioned before, a workable, legitimate model for doing that. However, it is something that is going to require a significant amount of development resources. It's not something that can just be put together even in a month or two. But we have something that is proprietary and we believe absolutely game-changing in the space when it comes to that. So that said, in terms of timelines, the capability of then developing a model whereby people can unilaterally connect to PeerPlays using sidechains, or we've even discussed the idea of having, I'm going to use the term merge mining, which isn't going to be, I don't think that's entirely accurate, but essentially having the PeerPlays witnesses simultaneously validate both the main chain and the side and the side chain. Just in terms of consensus, it makes it a lot easier than trying to have independently aligned consensus models for every single side chain, especially when the only purpose of the side chain is to run a specific game developed by some independent developer, and also because you always have to consider the sort of economic incentive model as a whole and the network as a whole, and how that's being served, not only sort of to make everyone money appropriately, but also to make sure that that all the players that are interacting are incentivized to act in the best way. And there's really layers of complexity to creating depot side chains. I think that's even significantly more complex than doing something like a proof of work side chain. So the short answer to your question, now that I've just given the long answer, the TLDR here is that people developing games as independent developers and doing so sort of unilaterally without approval of the network in the way that is necessary right now probably won't be something that we're capable of doing for at least a year, if not a year and a half or 2 years, from a technological standpoint. But that said, in the meantime, there are several games, games that everyone plays, and three of which we have models for and are working on development that we've mentioned again on our website. Sports betting and sports bookmaking, lottery, and Texas Hold'em, that are all potentially extremely lucrative and just valuable in terms of what they'll allow people to do that people can't do right now in a lot of places in the world. And just getting those up and running is going to we believe bring tremendous value, not only to PeerPlays but to the world in a lot of ways. And so having that be sort of the base and foundation, we think is going to be able to propel PeerPlays into a space where, all things are possible. And we know just from a sort of a scientific standpoint in the world, the more money that you have, the more interest that you have, and the more motivation and resources, for research and development and things like that, the more you can accomplish. And so, this is sort of the grander vision going forward, being able to fund these projects that create the technology and the infrastructure to be able to do these things, like I've been talking about here. So, well,
Real quick, we're about at 30 minutes, a little bit over. However, how was Hong Kong? First off, we didn't really get to that. You have been traveling quite a bit, so how has that gone for you?
Oh, it's really great. I'm really enjoying it. It's been a little stressful, as travel generally is. I'm also not much of a city person by nature, so and it's definitely a city. it's very expensive here. If anyone's thinking of relocating or even visiting, that would be a warning. But yeah, I mean, the people are really friendly. It's actually a very safe city from a crime statistic standpoint, an extremely safe city. A lot of really beautiful landscape. I've been able to get out in the mornings and go jogging in the countryside and the mountains here, and so yeah, it's been I guess that's sort of a personal answer to your question. On a business from a business standpoint, we're working with some partners here, and it's just very, very exciting, and also not something I can talk about, unfortunately, not yet. But
sure.
But I will be able to soon. But yeah, thank you for asking.
Well, we've heard about your escapades from Data, so I wanted to just get the down low on what's actually going on between the scenes, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's I've been gone for a couple of weeks here. Just been super, super busy, and but it's
you're out mining for gold.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you can't necessarily do it all from your house. You got to get out a little bit, and I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, it's really been, besides the fact that we've got a lot of people over here that are extremely enthusiastic about what we're doing. I've also met a lot of wonderful people, and just really, it's interesting, especially when you travel. The level of hospitality and there's really people all around the world that are good people, and it's just good to get out sometimes and recognize the nature that it gives me a lot of sort of hope for what we're building here and what it gives me hope for humanity to ultimately be able to pull out of sort of some of the tailspins that it seems like we've gotten ourselves into in the last decades. There's a lot of enthusiasm, I think, now, and a lot of enthusiasm, especially with the capabilities of what the blockchain is going to be able to bring, and so that's been a lot of fun to just see how many people are out there that are working on this all these things in various ways.
Well, I'll tell you what gives me hope is that there are people who are interested in ensuring that their blockchain technology projects are, the community who supports them is able to easily access them and answer questions, ask questions and have them answered for them. This is something that's important to me, obviously, and obviously important to you guys. And I cannot stress enough that in this space, if you are a new person to the space, there are a lot of ICOs and things like that out there. But just keep in mind that whenever people make a lot of money, there are people who lose a lot of money. And a lot of those ICOs, they have a thread, and they might go occasionally onto a talk show where they've paid somebody to go, or have been specifically requested to come on. But whenever you see a project like PeerPlays or a number of the projects that regularly go out and have meetups and hangouts with the community that they are getting funding from, those are the ones that you really want to consider as some of the gems in the space. So if you're a newbie and you're listening to that, to this hangout, keep that in mind. Now, one final thing, Crypto, is there anywhere that people can go to find updates on PeerPlays or contact you guys?
Yes, sir. We have a website, which is peerplays.com. We also have a news site, which is peerplays.com/news. The news site is updated whenever we have any major updates. for the past few weeks, it's basically just been the test net and getting things onto the test net. But we will be having some major announcements that once we get to the stage of being prepared to move forward with some of these things we've been working on for a while now. So. But in any case, you can go to the news site and scroll back and see some of the things that we've been working on in the past. You can also go to https://peerplays.chat. That is a Rocket Chat channel, which is basically like our Slack channel. And then if you go to Steemit, all of our major announcements are posted on under the handle PeerPlays, so it's just at PeerPlays. And then we have a Bitcoin talk and a BitShares talk thread too. So there's a lot of places to sort of get out and have discussions. And if you need to contact us directly, all of our contact information is available on the websites and stuff like that. So yes, and thank you all again. And I know I guess we went a little over the allotted time again here today, but I haven't been on for a couple of weeks, so I personally always have just a lot of fun doing this, and I'm really passionate about this, and so it's good to hear what it is that other people are thinking about and what their questions are, and it really does help us, this feedback that we get from everybody. So. Thank you all for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, where else can you go to talk to a bunch of people who are crypto nerds, where they don't roll or talk to a bunch of people about blockchain technology in general without their eyes rolling into the back of their heads? Most people don't give a shit how the current banking system works, even with us reaching obviously a pain point with the corruption and the inefficiencies of the current system. You still don't have enough people who understand how the dang banks work and things like that. So let alone having people who want to get together on a regular basis and talk about how to improve all that stuff. We're talking about a very small minority of the population are the types of people who like to join up and talk about this stuff. So this is kind of a little bat cave to me,
Yeah, this is pretty unique environment here. I mean, I think maybe this is happening somewhere else, but I haven't found it anywhere. And naturally, I mean, we're sort of so far on the cutting edge that a lot of times, things come out of these discussions that I don't see probably happening anywhere else at this stage. I mean, we might be in we might end up in the Museum of Crypto in the 50 years from now, when they have all the exhibits of all of the key players in the early stages.
All of our digital photos up on a wall.
There'll be there'll be a collage, or some sort of there'll be a mumble server or something, and there'll be the famous crypto nerds of yesteryear exhibit.
Yeah, the Mumble server will be on a single chip where they store it in the archives.
It'll be like holographic, like crystalline. Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Now we're getting into some interesting stuff, huh? Well, I will say this: we're not the only game in town with respect to that stuff, but I think it's a good thing. That there are other projects that do similar things. Now, I will say this. There are very few projects that I have found that have similar motives. So that in that respect, this project is kind of interesting because most of the people who are here are very idealistic individuals who've given a lot toward BitShares and where we have, everything leading up to where we are today. And soon we'll be able to start passing out tokens at these Hangouts. So it's about to be tested this weekend, guys and gals. So I will try to reach out to you guys if you're interested. Feel free to post your email in here, and I'll try to keep you updated. You'll have to check your emails a lot this weekend to be able to test it whenever we're testing it, but that's definitely the plan to start getting this thing tested so we can start. Hopefully, I would like to be able to pass out things like PeerPlays tokens at the Hangouts and BitShares at the Hangouts to all of you guys. So that's maybe Gridcoin, some of these things. So anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining up. And we're going to move on to next is Virtual Growth from SteemPrentice. Are you here, Virtual Growth?
Nope. Oh, yes. I don't know. Something.
Well, it sounds like there is either you or a recording of yourself.
A recording of myself. Now, that would be impressive, but I'd have to respond to you in advance.
Right, well, that's why I'm trying to figure this out myself, man.
Alright, I'm just stopping and starting my recording. Why figure things out? What fun is that?
It is a conspiracy, Joey. Virtual Growth is here, conspiring to make you grow.
I just like to make people think. Anyways, I'm going to start with the Crypto Drive and his mention of saving the SteemVoter.com. I made a post. It made 6.668 Steem. Otherwise, he has raised about $1,000 and 1,080 Steam-backed dollars in donations. Total crowdfunded so far has been 1,373 Steam-backed dollars, which is a donation. Plus the award for some of his posts, and he has a target of $3,600 US for that. And he's here, so I'll let him talk some if he's here.
Yes, I am
Sure.
here. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me?
Well, thank you, the Crypto Drive.
Yes, great. Thank you. Is everyone able to hear me fine?
Perfectly.
Okay, fantastic. Firstly, I want to say a big thank you to Virtual Growth. I mean, he's given me, some speaking time on his slot, which is really amazing of him. That's really cool. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. Basically, what the Steem Voter is, if you go to steemvoter.com, it's basically a curation tool that allows you to be able to auto vote any authors on the Steemit platform that you choose. So, for instance, if you would like to support the official Fuzzy account or the Steem Sports account, for example, you can do so. And each time a new post comes out from those accounts, you will auto vote them. You can actually set when you auto vote, if you vote in the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, etc., and how much power you actually vote with as well. So if you want to give 50% or you want to give 100%, depending, that's up to you. So those are the current features that I was involved with it about a month in. It's been going for about 2 months, but I really found value in the service, and I became involved when there was less than 200 Steem power collectively on the platform. And then I started advertising it on my Steem pages and just sort of spreading the word of mouth. And we slowly got more users involved. I got to know the owner of the sites, and he made me admin of the site. So I was quite invested in it, and I've helped a lot of people signing in. There were some sign-up problems at some point. So, it's a service I think adds value. And, a lot of people seem to like it. But the problem was the developer, Mark Goddard, he's not making much out of the service. His business model was essentially that once a week, he would use all the collective Steem power on Steem Voter, and he would vote one of the Steam voter posts, and then he would use those daily rewards as operating costs. But that didn't work out too well. I mean, over a series of posts over like a month or so, he only made like $60. So he started to realize that, look, he has other things to do. He doesn't really have time to be too invested into this and to make improvements. So he'd prefer to either close it down or if someone wants to buy it. So I threw my hat in the ring, so to speak, and I decided to try and crowdfund it. And that's basically where we stand. He's wanting something in the region of 3,600 US, and I'm very close to that at the moment, about halfway. I'd like to keep this service essentially running as much as possible, because from the comments I've seen from my first post, most of the Steam community really find it useful, and they would kind of be lost without it. It essentially gives them the ability to be able to auto vote as if they had a whale bot, essentially, because most of the whales are able to do that. They're able to basically auto vote anyone that they want, and the smaller users who aren't that technically savvy can't do that, but Steam Voter empowers them to be able to do that. So if anyone upvotes these posts and help me, I'd really appreciate it.
I think it's a really cool initial service. Some of the functionality is really cool. I wish that he would have considered a different kind of monetization strategy, just because I didn't really think that was a good way of trying to monetize it. I remember whenever I went to sign up on it, it actually kind of turned me away, because I decided that I didn't want to give them my keys after reading that they would be able to use my keys to upvote occasionally various posts that they wanted to post, so I found myself kind of in a spot where I liked the idea, but I didn't really know that was the best way of monetizing it. I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess, maybe if it were for an update or something like that, like if they were going to provide technical documentation or updates of the software as they push out new features or things like that, and they want to upvote that. But to me, it felt like it was something where they could say, just as easily, they could have said, would you like to add our account to the auto upvote list for your account or something like that? It's just something so simple whenever you're making your account as to say, would you let us be one of the people on your list? And you can tell us how much, percentage you're going to give to us. That lack of control really freaked me out a little bit, to be honest with you. I don't know if other people feel the same way, but the service, other than that, it does seem really cool.
Yeah, sure. I can respond to that. Basically, look, the service isn't finished yet. I mean, there's a lot of things that still need to be fixed and upgraded, and that concept, I mean, I don't think Mark thought of how it would feel if someone who has significant voting power comes on board. I think for someone with minor voting power, they wouldn't really mind if their vote gets used once a week for like an update post.
This is a good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really care. But for someone with a large amount of Steam power like yourself, might want the option to set, okay, I only want to give you 20% of my vote, or maybe I choose not to do that, and I prefer to pay a monthly subscription of maybe $10, $15 or something like that, and then I don't have to give you my vote, as it were. So, and I'm still supporting.
Well,
so
there's that. And there's also, and I hate to interrupt you, but just because you touched upon this, um, with respect to the voting, not only is the percentage something that would be interesting, but the fact that they said, whenever I read the disclaimer, it basically told me that they would be able to use my account to upvote their posts whenever they kind of deemed it necessary, but they never really said, we will refrain from upvoting posts about this, or this. To me, the biggest thing was if they would have an account that was made just for upvoting or just for giving updates or something like that. Instead, because as a user, I also I fear kind of giving that voting key to somebody if they have in a disclaimer that they're going to upvote whatever they want, as opposed to some like stringent standard, where, if somebody says, whenever I create my account there, if it would have said, for instance, would you like to add us to your upvote list? And if so, at what percentage? Here are our accounts, and these are what our accounts are meant for. And we recommend that you at least add the update account, so all of the updates to the software are noticed by everybody who uses it. Things like that, where it actually gives details as to what situations they're going to upvote in and things like that. It's not just one aspect of that. There's multiple facets that kind of made me not want to use it, and it was a shame too, because it was a cool service.
Yes, no, sure. I actually plan to turn that around. I mean, the thing is, I've been around since the 11th of June, and I've been around a long time. Mark hasn't been so much, so he doesn't really understand how it feels to be a Steam user as much as I do, and he doesn't understand the Steam whales as much as I do, because a lot of them are my friends as well. So he probably wouldn't have thought of that. And the terminology can actually be streamlined quite a bit, as you say. We do have one account, SteemVoter. It's just a normal Steam account called SteemVoter that we created recently, and that's the one where we'll upvote some updates. In fact, we just did one with some stats, which I'll paste in here, and the stats post was updated. So that's all they really do. That they're not going to go vote any other personal accounts or anything of that sort. So maybe, look, the intention was to upvote the SteemVoter account only, but maybe the way it was written a bit sort of ambiguously and made it look like they could vote anything. But that's not the intention.
That was kind of what I got from it. That was how I walked away from it myself.
Well, that's kind of an easy fix. I mean, I can go back and speak to Mark and just have a look at what those terms are and just get it more defined, that you can only vote the SteemVoter account once a week, and it has to be a SteemVoter related post, an update post or stats or something. That's perfectly fine, I think. We would also like to add in that you can set your percentage that you vote for the larger Steam Power holders. Obviously, the smaller ones would make it default 100%, but what would you say a good cutoff is in terms of where you define who the high Steam Power holders are? Would you say 500,000 Steam Power, 200,000? What do you think?
That's a good question. That's a dang good question, because for me, I feel like I'm a small whale, but some people think I'm a huge whale. So maybe I'm not the perfect person to ask. I personally, I think 500,000 is kind of like the threshold to actually being a whale. That's how I personally feel about it, but there's no quantitative evidence that I can provide that's going to say other people feel similarly.
Okay, cool. No problem. It's something that we will work out, yeah. But look, I mean, with me running the service, I would definitely look to the interests of the Steam community, as I have done since June. And everything will be buttoned up nicely, and I'll take advice from the community like yourself. And also new features as well.
Sounds like that's kind of what you're doing here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Just letting everybody give their thoughts on this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Something else that might help you as well. I mean, I know you like people to auto upvote the Beyond Bitcoin tag. So you can just redirect them to SteemVote and say, look, use SteemVoter and use it to vote the Beyond Bitcoin tag, which is a feature I want to implement. Right now, you can't vote on tags, you can only vote on accounts, but I'm sure the tags feature is not too hard to do, and I'd like to do that.
Well, actually, I was going to talk to you about this. This is something that I would like to talk to you a little bit about offline, because I don't know exactly all the details, but I would like to get Faddat and Tuan together with you a little bit to talk, because there's some other things I think that we could look into as well if you're interested in using this service for an expanding range of possibilities.
Yeah, I'm always good for anything. You know that.
Well, I figure we can at least talk about it, but I don't want to say anything here because, there might be like technical difficulties or disagreement on how something should be done that would keep it from, I don't want to put pressure on anybody to work together on something that but I would like to see what we could kind of do with some of this stuff, because I really like the vote. I do like the idea, because there are certain people I would like to auto vote no matter what, especially if there's something like, voting on a tag. Now, voting on a tag, there's some issues with that. As in, I go on to, for instance, the Beyond Bitcoin tag, and I noticed that there's a lot of people who post stuff that's really crappy. And I mean, it's like they took literally 5 seconds to post something. And I can't upvote that. So it would probably be best to have something where it's like multiple criteria putting them together. Like, for instance, if it has the Beyond Bitcoin tag and is by Official Fuzzy, upvote it, right? Or,
or
so I can
like
have a list of people.
Yes, of course, yes. So like you'd have like a sort of a whitelist of people in there that you could use, but then you might as well just use the accounts feature and just do that, or unless the person who creates the tag basically creates the tag on SteemVoter. So you as a tag creator go and add the tag onto SteemVoter and then set your different parameters and then something to that effect for the SteemVoter community to use and vote on. You could also do it by post popularity. So you could safeguard yourself that if it's had 100 votes before, it should be pretty good. So you shouldn't have too much of a problem if it's got 100 or 150 votes, unless people are creating a whole bunch of bot accounts to just do that. But yeah, but look, there's definitely things like this we can talk about offline. I've got lots of ideas in terms of this. I think it would be a great benefit to do that. When would you want to hook up?
Well, I'm thinking maybe Faddat, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Maybe we can all talk like after this hangout or something.
Oh yeah, of course. I was planning on being here for the after party today, so no problem.
Sounds good.
Sure, cool. I'm gonna shoot out and get some food for my kids, so then I'll be back and we can talk about it.
Okay, so just be quiet real quick, guys. I'm going to add on the crypto drive here. So anybody who edits it can take it out and put it in front of it. Well, actually, never mind. I'll add that on after the fact. Next up is going to be virtual growth of Steam Prentice. Virtual growth, are you around, buddy?
Yeah, that I am.
Okay, so what were you wanting to join up and talk about today?
I'm going to keep it short. I just want to say thank you to Crypto Guy. I figured that would be good to you guys to talk, and it's kind of good that you guys are going to talk more. Being of the Steam Prentice.
Always is,
a lot
right?
of people very interested in the guild aspect, as you know, in the coin. So I'm looking forward to the website source that you have that you guys are building as well. A lot of members use the and thanks to you for the people who came to the Hangout. The next Hangout will be this Sunday. I'm going to share that link. I'm also looking at, I have the Steamland idea, which I've mentioned in the past. I mentioned possibly doing a art museum and photography. I think that would be a better direction for that expressed possible interest as helping as well as a few other people. So the thought is to make like a museum in a virtual world and just have a bunch of artwork of a bunch of different Steemit users. And whoever is interested can come and visit, and it'll be like a museum. You can see hundreds of different examples of work. I think that will be an interesting project. Now it's just a matter of what works to present and how many people would actually be visiting it, and possible way to monetize that as well. And the visitors who do come, they would be able to click on artwork and photographs and then go to the Steemit. So they would be getting credit for it, and people would go and see more as well. So I'm going to further explore that idea over time. I'm not sure when I'm actually going to reopen the Steamland. I closed it for a time being because of things not working out so well. Otherwise,
well, I'll say this. I hate to interrupt you, but I did see that your post made it onto the Beyond Bitcoin site. It was one of the top trending posts on Beyond Bitcoin IO, which is the new Beyond Bitcoin site. So whenever you were talking about it, it seemed like it was something that people supported at the very least. Maybe they didn't support joining up because maybe they're not the type of person who goes into a Second Life type of environment, or their computers can't handle it or something. But there are a lot of people who seem to be interested in upvoting it.
There's been hundreds of upvotes to Virtual Steam Fest. A lot of people upvoted it well, but exactly, it's that barrier. A lot of people have trouble with that. There is also a lighter clients that some other people will be, but a lot of people aren't interested in virtual worlds. But for the ones who are, I think the value will be there. It's a matter of getting it started with finding a group of people, which I'm slowly finding little bits of people here and there. Intelli have a question?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here too.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I see that these curation groups are starting to show up all over the place, and I'm starting to see it as, for the good thing that it is, but I can't help but feel that it's like more creative ways to create new shovels to be able to better distribute the undervalued Steem. So it would be nice that if these curation groups would also become think tanks, so that they can increase the value of Steem as well as like a side project while they're all doing this, so that maybe that would also aid them if the price of Steem increases a lot by, for instance, attracting more marketing dollars from large companies. They wouldn't have to work quite so hard to curate. So, and because they're attracting a lot of great people involved in these groups, that means that they're already group building. So maybe we can get the price of Steem up higher, so that would assist their projects.
Well, that's actually, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think that this is something that we can talk about a little bit more toward the after party, unless Virtual Growth wants to dig into it during his time.
I'm just going to mention a couple more things. I'm going to share the link for the Hangout. He's originally going to be in the afternoon. Now it's going to be 8 to 10 p.m. on Sunday, on the 13th. and I'm going to share the link to the post that she posted. The only other thing I wanted to mention was Steam at Game Night. We've had a couple of sessions, and I've done esports Steam bets, which was an idea started with a few other people, including Psycho Chica. We're doing the betting like the crypto drive, and I have a script as well to do payouts at this point. So we'll be exploring that more as well, and offering a service to do payouts for other people that do their games. Using the game to do a bunch of people share their games and kind of, what I tried out is having people vote on their favorite game, and then I'm going to share a link on each of those games to kind of help cross-marketing and develop and value, to share value, but bring that curation together and spread it out as such that a lot of people talk about.
Well, that's definitely something that I think that the community's realizing is necessary. You're just giving the post right now to everybody for the questions that you want to ask in this Hangout. And although it says 2 to 4 p.m. CST, this is actually 8 to 10 p.m. CST?
That is correct.
Okay.
There's a time change as well. I'm going to do a post tonight about 24 hours beforehand with all the updated times and the different time zones like I've done before.
Sounds good. Well, does anybody have any questions for Virtual Growth? Or Virtual Growth, would you like to get into what IntelliGuy was bringing up? It's all up to you, man.
Here, go ahead. You got a few minutes. Feel free, and then we can just talk about it afterwards. There's not much time. It's close to my half hour anyway, because the other one was long. So whatever everybody wants to do is fine by me.
Actually, you've got about 20 minutes.
Oh, so it was 45. Not. I was thinking it was a half hour.
No,
I'm just mostly interested to see if he sees merit in the idea. Curation groups to also become a think tank on how to attract more to become a think tank for increasing the value of Steam, because they're doing a great job on finding how to better distribute existing Steam. But if Steam was actually valued a lot higher, then the curation groups would really excel as well. So it's a double-edged sword, if you will.
Well, yeah, most groups are just going to curate. That's all they're going to do. As far as the thinking tanks, a lot of them aren't going to do that. So I can understand your concern. With my idea with the Steamland, part of my envision is that in a 3D world, we can present ideas and projects, kind of like we do here in Mumble. This is better as a recording studio. And the virtual world, it's a little more complicated because of the resources used by the simulation itself. However, you can present stuff in the 3D world, three-dimensionally, use it onto billboards that we clicked on to visit different websites. I think that's an aspect that has been used in Second Life and different things that could be utilized as well. Of course, you want to stay mostly whatever your project is. I mean, not have to deal with these other things, going to Mumble and Steam Speak and virtual worlds and everything else. It's a matter of what people want to use with resources that are familiar with to their own uses.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll speak up here, because I think a lot of what we're doing, or what I want to do at least in the future, if I can get the support for it and the upvotes from everybody for it, is to get these things paid for that enable us to leverage guild tokens. And what I'm thinking is that, imagine if there's a guild account, right? And everybody can subscribe to that, to the website, like let's say Beyond Bitcoin. You could subscribe to Beyond Bitcoin and unlock features where you can start earning Beyond Bitcoin tokens by sharing the content that's on the site, and things like that. And in return, you pay, let's say, 5 SBD a month. Or you pay, for the next highest plan, which is 20 SBD a month or something like that, right? And now you have this SBD that gets powered up by the Beyond Bitcoin bank, right? and you can use Beyond Bitcoin tokens that you're emailed every month for, being a subscriber, or that you have earned from sharing content directly from beyondbitcoin.com onto your social media sites, or you can power up your content that you think needs to be paying out tokens to people who share it. If, like, for instance, if you see your own content on there, and in ways like that, you can actually have a token that is backed by the voting power of the guild bank. So you could literally have these tokens that would incentivize people, would want to make these tokens as valuable as possible. And the way to make these tokens as valuable as possible would be to incentivize people to join the guild and pay that subscription fee. Now, if you can do something like that, I think that you're going to see people wanting to increase the value of their guild token, which means that they would want to create high quality content and bring as many people to the site as possible. So now you actually are using this front end that is, whenever you're rather than having to link to Steam articles everywhere, you actually are linking to your own website that is just Steamified. So you don't have a bunch of people calling you a spammer. You can be like, well, this is my blog site, guys. This is, where the best content is, and things like that. And in addition, you have this incentivization structure that enables people to want to become, like, if they're a curation guild around a specific topic, let's say a guild that talks about horses and curates content about horses. They might have horse coin, and they give you horse coins for sharing their content and for doing, other things for them. And then you can use that horse coin to get an upvote from the horse guild bank to content that you think needs an extra kick. You know what I'm saying? So you might upvote something, and then you say, well, you know what? This content is so good, I'm going to actually make sure that my guild's stamp of approval is on it too. Those are kind of how I see that kind of stuff going.
I do have one question. When they do get your tokens, how are people going to exchange them for Steam?
They would do it on BitShares.
Okay, that makes sense. That's what I figured. Just people with another wallet. But yeah, that's not going to be for everybody, but it is going to be for the crypto enthusiast.
It'll definitely be for the people who want to run guilds. You know what I mean? And that's really all we need.
Yeah, exactly.
Because most other people, the simple fact of the matter that most users probably won't try to go through the process of selling them, it just makes the tokens even more valuable, that those who do go through that process of selling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just like in any collectible industry, you have the liquid and you have the people who just hold on to it, and it all works out because of the value. It just transfers through, and that's something I want to do with SteemPrentice, is help people. This kind of makes sense to turn that into a guild and just help the users work together and create value. So makes me more interested. As many, I have 240 users, and many will be very interested in this.
Yep, and you have subscribers and stuff like that, and you charge them a fee, and that could go into that account. And that stuff is a little bit further off and would depend a lot on the funding that we can get to continue moving forward with building on cool extra features. But that's something that I would really love to do if we get the support.
Yeah, it's just an idea. If it'll materialize or not just depends on the people involved and the interests and costs and everything else.
Well, imagine Virtual Growth. You have 240 people in the SteemPrentice community. If you had your own website for SteemPrentice, kind of like Beyond Bitcoin has, well, then guess what? You would have, like, if even half of those people paid $5 a month as a subscription fee to become like subscribing members of the site, that would be what, $500 being powered up every month? And that's just in the very beginnings. Imagine now, what is the size of an average decent audience would be, what, 100,000 people on YouTube who watch something if my videos were watched by 100,000 people every time, that would be a decent audience, I'd say, like a pretty big audience, but not a huge one. But if you could even get, if you're a content provider like that on YouTube and you have 100,000 people and you can get 5,000 of them to pay $5 a month, that's 25. That's 2,500. Wait, is it?
I'm not worried about the numbers.
That's $5,000 a month getting powered up into an account. That's a lot of money over the course of 5 years. Imagine somebody who started on YouTube 5 years ago, if they would have started on Steam it now and gone for 5 years doing something like that. That's they're almost a whale. They have a whale account for their own website and community.
That makes a lot of sense, Fuzzy.
Well, the reason why I was thinking about this was that you had this problem, as people saw it, with too many Steam-backed dollars in circulation that were not being turned back into Steam and being powered up. So this is, to me, a huge way of incentivizing that while also building a community.
Another thing out there is a crowdsource whale that people are paying Steam, and then that crowdsource whale votes for the people who pay into it. So sort of like your subscription model. It's just another idea that's floating out there. Yeah, it's just another thing to mention. It's different, but I think the website idea is a big deal.
That crowdsource whale could probably do the same thing. It could probably accept various people's crypto communities for upvotes.
Yeah, right now it's making a little bit of steam from donations initially, and then the initial post. It's small and starting, but it grows, and then as it grows, it's going to add more value to the people it is voting. Me and numerous people in the Steam Apprentice. That's why I'm looking to further explore some type of idea, because there's dozens of people in the Steam Apprentice that are interested, and there could be dozens more depending on the idea, of course. Time's almost up, so just to finish up questions, closings.
Sure.
I don't really have much to say, but look forward to talking to the Crypto Drive more as well, and SteemVoter.com. Yeah. And whoever's up next, I know it doesn't seem like anybody has any questions. I'll have things more together for next week.
So Custom Miner is here talking about Gridcoin and giving some updates on the Gridcoin project and the community that surrounds it. Custom Miner, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Perfectly. Like cool, honey in my ears, buddy.
I'll keep this quick so you guys can get back to talking about, Steam it and stuff. So yeah, we've got our 15th Gridcoin Hangout on Saturday, 12th November at 9 p.m. GMT. Everyone's welcome to come and join in. We'll be talking about Gridcoin, distributed computing, BOINC and stuff. I might not be able to attend myself, so it'll be other community members, but come along anyways. We've got a new poll currently. Well, 3 new polls. Basically, all 3 of these are BOINC projects that are being voted out of the whitelist. This is because they are inactive and not producing work for our users to crunch. Thus, how do you base rewards on that? So that's why they're being voted out at the moment. Moving on. We've just had a mandatory upgrade last night. So if anyone is currently running the Gridcoin client, please make sure that you have upgraded to the latest version so that have connected to the network. That'd be great. Yeah, just want to continue bringing attention to PC's BitShares market pegged asset BSIP. The BitShares talk thread's a wee bit quiet, but I'd really appreciate it if any users could peer review the BSIP, because currently the Gridcoin market pegged asset that was created a couple months ago is still in a black swan state. So when this is fixed, then our Gridcoin market pegged asset will be fixed. So the Gridcoin community's got an interest in seeing this being developed. So yeah.
Well, that's definitely an awesome thing that you guys are doing with that, and I would support that 100% as well.
Yeah, totally. Continuing on, I've only got a couple of things left to talk about. There is a monthly Boink project brainstorming thread on Steam, so we've probably got another couple of weeks before this one's locked before we'll make the next one. Since last week, we've got 2 new ideas for Boink projects that users have come forward with. The first one I thought was really cool is proof of published research. So the idea is like partnering with a research paper publisher, where people submit, research papers to be peer reviewed before being officially included in a documentation, like a publishing. There's multiple websites we could reach out to anyways, is what I'm saying. So the idea is that imagine you create a paper, you submit it, it gets accepted, and then from that point onward, if you were able to link your account on one of these research websites to, say, if you were able to put in your CPID, like your Boink identification into that, we would be able to base a reward distribution model on, you having submitted research. We would weight this by like how many citations your paper has been given. Otherwise, we could break it down into.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, totally. We could maybe break it down further into like analyzing the paper itself, but really citations are an indicator of quality research. Potentially, it could be manipulated, but you'd hope that that would be prevented by the peer reviewing of these submitted, papers. It's really something that would be, it's something the responsibility of the publisher. So that's a really cool idea. I think it'd be really interesting, because imagine you submitted a paper, then from that point onwards, you're getting continuously rewarded, and you could effectively be, receiving Project Rain across like the 36 different cryptocurrencies as well. So it wouldn't just be Gridcoin you'd be earning, So that's a really cool idea, I think.
Well, not only that, but you're talking about essentially peer review on a blockchain, right?
No, this is purely a Boink project at the moment. So, like, rewarding users a Boink score, like a rack, based on them linking their, research account with their, Boink account. That way, when they submit a paper and it increases in citation count, they get a score to which we base, our Gridcoin reward on. So, like, would then be rewarded Gridcoin from like that point onwards, and if their citation count increased, then they would earn more. So it's kind of like permanently funding
really
them.
Cool. So you can actually have data then on your own, how people use your own content.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, like, if this was feasible, if we were able to, convince one of these publishing websites to add, a CPID field to a profile page and then expose that publicly, like with an API, then it could be easily done. And then we could reward Gridcoin to researchers who are submitting papers on, medicine, on computer science, on astrophysics, you name it,
Well, I love the idea. This is something that is along the lines of what I've talked about with other people in the past. Apple Crisp is asking a question here. He says, can you talk about the differences and similarities of Gridcoin to that new Golem ICO that came out today? Are you familiar with this Golem ICO?
Yeah, to a degree I've read it. I believe Gridcoin, our reward mechanism, accurately rewards your proportional computation on an individual project basis, right? Our BOINC servers are centralized to a certain degree, so it's distributed, it's not decentralized. Golem is moving towards a more decentralized model, so they've not got the centralized web servers feeding up, feeding users their work they need to complete. But then there's I've read the white paper a few months ago. Sorry if I'm butchering this explanation, but what I've gathered from it was that if you do the computation for someone, you also need to get a few other people to do the same computation, but then you might not get rewarded for that computation, So I think it is like you do have to make compromises when you do go towards further centralization. And I probably will be participating in their ICO. But I'm not entirely certain of the specifics behind it, but they're based on Ethereum. They're doing an ICO for their initial distribution. It'd be really cool if they did a small percent of the total funds, like as a Project Rain, because it is supported with the Project Rain BOINC project. Gridcoin, its initial distribution was somewhat based on proof of work, but it's now massively based on proportionally rewarding your BOINC computation without rewarding any proof of work.
Does that answer your question, Apple Crisp? There definitely is one thing that I've learned more and more over my course of time in cryptocurrency is that decentralization isn't always necessarily needed to be the end goal. In fact, varying levels of decentralization sometimes are needed to ensure the greatest efficiencies in a system. So it really is, one of those things where, yes, there are definitely business models that work around decentralized ecosystems, but there are specific use cases that they're more powerful in than others. I would have to find myself saying, if something like Gridcoin can work, or BOINC can work on multiple protocols, then it in its own way can be decentralized too, because that seems to mean like blockchains then could actually replace projects to a degree on the Gridcoin in the Gridcoin community. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do think that it would be kind of interesting to see something like DAX that do what these different projects do.
On the topic of decentralized, BOINC servers, there are some ethical considerations that need to take into account. I mean, we were talking about, creating TensorFlow as a BOINC project. So what if you take TensorFlow, decentralize it? You've got decentralized artificial intelligence to a certain degree that's kind of irresponsible.
Scary.
You know what I mean? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
With regards to putting a BOINC project on, say, the graphene chain, using graphene technology, could be something we could do, but then we would be breaking compatibility with existing projects,
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Potentially what we could do is we could retain the current centralized BOINC servers and use the graphene, system as a middleman for dishing out work units. Potentially that could help, but then you're still relying on centralized entities. So yeah, it's definitely a theoretical area. I'm totally open for hearing any ideas for how we could decentralize a BOINC server. If it is possible, it would be insane. It'd be a massive game changer, and we would be directly competing with Golem if it was decentralized.
Yeah. Could you explain that a little bit? What's your what's the server? What's the thing you're trying to decentralize again? I kind of fell off the wagon on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
well, here, real quick, CM Steam, just so you know, he's familiar with BitShares. Dan Robles is familiar with proof of stake, proof of work, and things like that. But I don't know that he is aware of Gridcoin so much. So can you give him a little bit of an idea, like a history of Gridcoin a little bit too, so he understands where you're coming from and how this project really is unique in its own way.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give an explanation of Gridcoin. So Gridcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's proof of stake. It rewards BOINC computation. So BOINC computation is volunteer distributed computing. We currently support about 30 different projects at the moment. You probably know such projects as SETI at Home or World Community Grid. You know, SETI at Home is like searching space for extraterrestrial life for communications. World Community Grid is attempting to, solve cancer, AIDS, Ebola, and stuff like that. These BOINC servers themselves, it's a centralized web server which distributes work out to distributed workers or volunteers effectively. There are currently 560,000 active BOINC users and 4 million registered BOINC users. So if there's only assuming every user has like a dual core, right, at the very minimum, then that's over 1 million CPU cores of active BOINC computation right now. At the moment, a Gridcoin only rewards 0.5% of the total active BOINC user base. So there's really this opportunity for multiple cryptocurrencies to distribute assets to BOINC users. If you create a BOINC project, then with say a commercial spin on it, say you were to create again this TensorFlow idea. So you have a customer who wants to have machine learning work sent out to thousands of users. They would pay a small fee, you would take a cut and distribute the rest out to your volunteers. That would be a commercial project. And it's very easy to make a BOINC project itself. What's difficult is the potentially decentralizing it, but that's theoretical at the moment. You have to make sure that the work you're distributing is verifiable, so it can't be cheated or manipulated. So that's you'd have to create your own credit mechanism for a new idea you have. Are there any kind of other or specific areas you want me to kind of explain?
No, that's interesting. I am actually familiar with some of the applications, and that sounds like so the individuals are just donating processor space. They don't have any intrinsic knowledge of what's being processed.
Yeah, the majority of BOINC users just set it up, click and go, and they don't look into it much. A lot of BOINC projects do release research papers based on the computation donated by volunteers. A lot of projects are fully open source, so you can dig into the code of the applications and work units being distributed out to people. I think there's a couple closed source projects, but the majority are open source. Of users don't really dig into it past just running it and knowing that they're doing some good for the world,
Okay, so the centralization component is you're taking these, you have to somehow vet the data or vet the something, right? And that vetting has to be done to a particular standard or something. Is that what the centralization is all about?
Well, the centralization is, and okay, so you've got the user, you got to store all the users that sign up for the BOINC project. But then, yeah, you're correct that when users finish the computation, they have to return their result, which for some projects is quite a large, amount of data. If you're you could be potentially facing terabytes worth of data being returned. So yeah, that's certainly something that would be difficult for decentralization. If a common mechanism of verification of users returned results is that you send the same work out to 2 or 3 people, and if they all return a similar result, then that's a result you kind of accept. But then if you're decentralizing it, then the verification of returned work units would also have to be, say with delegates, you would have to have the delegates all agree that the work returned is, correct and not, falsified.
Well, what if you were to, okay, so I see what you're doing. It's that's a similar problem that we have is we're trying to replace, a licensed professional engineer would be a single point of failure, but they have the qualifications and knowledge to test. They've been tested. They themselves are vetted. So they're a vetted node, which is adjudicating some observation. So it's the best as we have, but it's still a single point of failure. If you could somehow randomize who shows up that day to vet the process, you are starting to approach a state of decentralization, because the individual who's cheating doesn't know who's going to come and vet and look at their work, and the individual who's coming to do the work isn't incentivized to conspire with the cheater in any way. So you introduce insufficient incentives so that you can you can so garner some relative security or some statement of accuracy. Mm-hmm. And only 2 layers are needed because you're building a Byzantine proof. So only 2 layers. You vote and vote on a vote. That's all that's really needed to get to sufficient accuracy. But the key to what we're trying to do is anonymizing people and keeping them anonymous, yet knowing that they're vetted. And that's done by converting their skills into a key, and that key would open and close projects that are similarly formatted against those skills. And this is something that I was talking about earlier about. This is why Wikipedia is so good, because I can take my skills, lay it over a Wikipedia map, and I could determine a match without exposing identity. And I could send that match to a project to vet. And that's decentralized. So do you see what I'm talking about? Is there anything there that shines on your project?
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of that was quite complex, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, I mean, if we were to have some kind of, if we were to decentralize a BOINC project with delegates or witnesses, potentially we could reward those witnesses, a sum of fees or whatever to cover the resources that would be required for, storing the returned data, and perhaps, you could store on the blockchain that the witnesses verified the work completed or returned was accurate. Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like an impossible task. If you're willing, I mean, how willing are you, or how necessary is decentralization? I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible. I mean, at the moment, I don't really have the skills to implement it, to be honest. It would be massive for the Gridcoin and BOINC community if it was made a reality. But as we were saying earlier, there definitely are ethical considerations to take into account. If a witness if say the community votes to support a new BOINC project, but the witnesses don't approve of it, would witnesses have to run projects that they're not comfortable with? Perhaps say what if malicious artificial intelligence is created in a decentralized manner? So
yeah,
well, the idea
of
incentives,
extra resilient.
Well, the idea of incentives is that unsavory projects will be disincentivized, and your talent pool will trend towards what they feel to be valuable in their own sentiment. So, I mean, people are building nuclear bombers today because they have no other job, not because they woke up as a child and decided, hey, I'm going to go build nuclear bombers. They've never fantasized about that as a 10-year-old, but that's what they're doing because their resume has been siloed in this military industrial complex, and there's just no way out. And they have to feed their family, so they're incentivized by a state of the world which captures them. If you were to liberate them, then they would make selfish decisions, probably quite ethical and conscious decisions, if we believe in the good of human beings. And they would so these evil projects would just be more expensive in a social capital environment than the ethical projects. And that's probably the best we can do towards guiding civilization toward the right outcome. But
not buying it.
What's that?
Not buying it, sorry. I don't think we do have a model for humans being ethical since we lost tribal things. And since we lost family and the replacements we had for tribes, as a bunch of individuals with no support networks, we're basically all crazy. And we're going to have crazy artificial intelligence unless we get sane first. So we have to experiment and incentivize getting sane in little groups first, because the little groups can have credibility. Individuals can't have credibility, and that's my little rant. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Well,
so then that goes back to the original.
Individuals can't, but
that's the original statement. Is it worth to decentralize or to centralize? Because you're talking about highly centralized. There's nothing wrong with it. Adjudication probably should be centralized. It's not making the final decision. It's just simply flipping a switch, and that could very well be centralized and not really impact the validity of the blockchain. I don't think.
Well, we do currently have like a centralized, BOINC server set up at the moment. But the problem with centralization of BOINC servers is that it does place risk onto the project admin who creates the project. What if they live in a country that their government says no, that's illegal, and then they get prosecuted for creating the project, despite in other countries it being acceptable. Whereas with a decentralized BOINC project, that would not be a problem, apart from maybe someone going after you for vengeance, for releasing a decentralized project out into the wild that you couldn't claw back.
Okay, well, you can't have them both.
Yeah, totally.
That's probably the thing. So you got to make a choice. You can probably make them both work, but if you want a decentralized system, you definitely have to capture people's knowledge assets, create a secret key from it, and then decentralize them from there, anonymous until point of transaction. It's probably sufficient deterrence in most cases, because that's pretty much family. It's anonymous until the point of transaction. When you do deals, you have to expose who your family is, and that incentive is enough to deter a lot of bad deals. I mean, my mother-in-law would kill me if I did dirty deals, and that's a existence worse than hell. So yeah, I mean, it could be done either way.
Cool. Well, I'm totally open for hearing any ideas you've got for decentralization.
Well, there is, of course, the Curiosity video.
Yes, there is a Curiosity video custom miner that I will at some point in time remind me to force you to watch it, because I think it's very important. I really do. But I also would say that you guys are talking about Gridcoin, and Dan, I don't think you were here when he said it early in the Hangout, but they have an actual Hangout here tomorrow, or every Saturday as well. What time is that again, Custom Miner?
It's 9
UTC?
p.m. GMT. In my RSVP thread, there's see if you click on the time, it'll take you to a worldwide clock that shows everyone's time zones, because last week we did have confusion surrounding daylight savings times.
Gotcha. And I just wanted to say real quick, or ask you, isn't Gridcoin a project that came out of MIT?
MIT, I believe it came out of Berkeley in California. It was SETI at Home was the first project that it was running its own homebrew thing, and then they had issues with cheaters and stuff, so they re-engineered it to this open source kits that anyone can create a distributed computing project with.
Well, I'll say this, Dan, it is worth it to learn a little bit more about them. They are a community that has been around since before Bitcoin. So just a thought to, if you're interested in another little area of blockchain technology, and this is to anybody who's listening as well, Gridcoin is really an interesting use case and a great community.
I've always been really interested in proof of resource. I thought MadeSafe is brilliant in that regard, but proof of resource of service based, that really does make a lot of sense to me. I'm not sure if that's what you guys are doing. Maybe it is, but
we're doing proof of research, so it's basically proportional rewards for your work. So the calculation basically is your score divided by the team score for every single BOINC project. So each BOINC project rewards an equal amount of Gridcoin. So, if you do 1 of 10 points in the team, you'll get 1/10 of the rewards for that project. So it is like a proof of resource, and that your computation is accurately rewarded in proportion to the rest of the team, basically.
So proof of resource is a little different, and let's see. So you would be proving that you're providing a service, basically, which is awesome, and it's like the holy grail. If anybody has any thoughts of how to get there, just let me know.
That's what we're all about. We're trying to get to proof of real life work, stuff that's actually built and made.
Stuff that has value. Bingo. Instead of stupid hashing. Because I'm sitting here, I'm looking at Zcash miners, I'm playing around with them, and I hate the fact that they don't do shit.
It's all about intrinsics, man. You have to get to intrinsics somehow. And I don't know. I thought Steem was the biggest jump towards intrinsics, although it falls far short. It's the biggest jump to intrinsics I had seen, really, in crypto space. Now we're talking about the real deal.
The only other project the only thing I have to say, the last topic was another project that was theorized was a distributed RF sensor array. So like getting our volunteers to buy like small $25 sensors, plug into the computer, and gather metadata of broadcast RF signals. Pepperino was saying that you could compare this with potentially like public data on crime or health to try and see if it had an effect on anyone. This is a kind of cool idea, but I think if anyone's interested in Boink, or even like thinking about what kind of Boink project they could create, check out the brainstorming thread. There's a lot of really cool ideas out there, and I totally agree. Proof of work, whilst yes, it does have like the use of secured network, for whatever cryptocurrency you're referring to, it is incredibly wasteful. I mean, think of the landfills filled with ASICs now. Think of the coal power plants churning away to run, ASIC farms in like China and stuff. It's not good, with Gridcoin. Yeah, sure. That
especially in China.
Totally. With Gridcoin, you still are using electricity, but it's for distributed computing research rather than proof of work, which is kind of very wasteful to a degree. It's kind of like going outside and just spraying aerosol and damaging the environment,
Just thought of a Boink project. Dan Larimer's idea on how to take down Bitcoin, do it as a Boink project.
Which idea?
The 51% he wrote it a while ago. We've talked about it a few times. He said Bitcoin was 100 times less secure than people thought, and he showed a plan.
Yeah,
you had to raise
51% attack.
Yeah, you had to spend a certain amount of money a day for a while, but it wasn't that much. But I guess instead of spending that money, you might be able to do it with computation. I don't remember the details of the attack, but anyway, if not a Boink project, some distributed project, because everybody's right. It is a waste of money, and taking over Bitcoin doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't mean it means you can fork it. You could make it what you want. So anyway, another wacky idea from Brindle Swan.
From the wacky Brindle.
So yeah, does anyone have any questions about Boink, Gridcoin, distributed computing before it's the end of my slot?
Well, I know that I will be talking a little bit more about this, but I did want to say that I really would like you guys to consider potentially your little Hangout community having their own website to cover all the stuff that you guys are posting to Steem it. So I just wanted to get that in your head, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah, I like the idea, man.
Want to have a whole network of people, man, and then we could start covering all of those people. Like, I would like to start doing the all-star hangouts for the people who are community members, and see what they're doing and what they're about.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got involved with Beyond Bitcoin. Fair enough, I'd listened to it in the past, back in BTSX kind of days. but I didn't really, talk before until you did the All-Star kind of reach out campaign. Continuing that would be quite cool, and getting more hangouts from different communities would be pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of see Beyond Bitcoin as the hub. And, it'll be the place where if Gridcoin has something, let's say that there's like the top 30 cryptocurrencies have representatives who are posting content and hangouts and just kind of doing what Gridcoin does. Even if there's that extra competition, Gridcoin still has their own website that we kind of point to and give people the link to that website too as well, so if something isn't necessarily trending on the Beyond Bitcoin site because Ethereum's on there and it's got something real big news that came out or something, you still have really good news. You still at least have your website there and people can get linked to that website.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. I've linked, a thread to CryptoCoin Talk or Gridcoin Forum with the idea, so I'm trying to, drum up support for it.
Well, I don't know how much Faddat would like to talk to you guys about in terms of payment, because there are ways of us getting payment for some of this stuff to get built. I just think that if all of us come together and work on that, we can figure out a way.
Cool.
Or maybe multiple ways.
Sounds great. Cheers for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Well, I really do appreciate you guys, and we have some of the stuff is getting built, and I'm not focusing as much on reaching out yet. We could be spending, I could be spending most of my time reaching out to bring on different guests, but I kind of am right now liking the grassroots feel, and I think that as we start having these tools become more and more available, that we're going to start having a lot more opportunities to even, hell, I could reach out to Donald Trump and say, "Hey, Donald Trump, you want your new website to be a Steem backend?" It just adds another revenue stream, and it helps protect your site. Those two things right there are big deals. Or if Snoop Dogg starts his own site, he might not be a whale, but if he's got 1 million people who will sign up to go to Steem it and upvote his content on his site, well, then guess what? He's got the equivalent of a lot of whales.
Totally.
So once we start doing that stuff, I think that we win. But I want to start out, I think Beyond Bitcoin being owned by these different cryptocurrencies is going to be a good start.
I agree.
You've situated Gridcoin pretty well. Gridcoin right now is trending on Beyond Bitcoin as we speak.
Awesome.
What do you mean, F King lag? That's cool. It's cool to see what other people do, like when they're listening to the Hangouts. It would be a good thing to do while you're running. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? You want to know what's even crazier? The reason I started doing these Hangouts was because we hired, or the BitShares community's funding hired this guy for $100,000 to market BitShares, and he wanted to do this really big Las Vegas Shark Tank event, and the community didn't want to do it because it would cost way too much. They were like, just let's put that into developing something. And I reached out to him after I created the Beyond Bitcoin domain and set up a Mumble server. And I told him, I said, I got it all set up for you. This is essentially like a decentralized conference. So you could have a conference here for really frigging cheap. You don't have to have actual Shark Tanks.
where sharks are in them swimming around. People don't have to go out to, Las Vegas and get frustrated because you spent $15 million of development funds, and he never used it. And after a while, he stopped showing up. So I actually had to frigging keep doing it. So if you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would be doing this today, I would have said, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm fine listening to Let's Talk Bitcoin.
I totally understand what you mean, though. Like the Boink community is organizing this Boink workshop in 2017, and like all of our users are like distributed around the world, like New Zealand, America,
Faddat is next, and he was going to be talking to everybody a little bit today about a few different things, but Faddat, why don't I go ahead and let you...
Well, focus in on just the opportunities in content chains and blockchain-based content management systems.
Okay.
All right. So about, gosh, it's been like 4 months, right, Fuzzy?
For what?
That we've been working together, that is.
Yeah, ever since I was blessed to be a whale, I know I started going out and I said to myself, I can build stuff now. And that was about the moment that I started reaching out and talking to you about some of this stuff as well.
All right, so I think it's been about 4 months. But anyway, Fuzzy came to me and he asked, so Jake, can you make for us basically a customizable content management system that connects to Steem? And I said, well, yeah, sure. Kind of stupidly thinking it was going to be easy. Steem does have some API issues, but it's not really what I want to talk to you guys about today. Although actually, with regard to Steem, the API issues do matter a lot, because for us, it was much, much more difficult to use Steem than it should have been. If the Steem API were cleaned up and standardized a bit, it would have been much, much easier. But eventually, Twan, he's the username Babita on Steemit, well, we got chipping away, and you can see the result at beyondbitcoin.io, which is basically it's a content management system based on Steem, or the back end of it is a content management system based on Steem. And what we're going to be chasing over the coming months is something that's a little bit more robust than what you see at beyondbitcoin.io. So actually, if you do see anything wrong there, please do let me know, and I'll add it to our issues list. You can find the source code. Where is it? I'll send over a link. Here it is. Right here. Now, the kinds of things that we're looking to enable with this are pretty huge. Steem has some limiting factors right now, and basically we're trying to build software that gets around that. The way that we're doing that is by reading the entire blockchain into an app that we've called Ingestron, and loading it into a standard database. Now, as you all know, blockchains are databases anyway. So we're taking the chain, pulling it into a DB, and then giving access to the DB to apps like WordPress, for example. So at beyondbitcoin.io, what you're actually looking at is a WordPress that's able to connect with the content from Steemit. And we want to build these for different people and eventually build kind of a customized solution that would allow people to kind of build them themselves for a minimal monthly fee. Now, if you do code, right there's that link. And And all we ask is that you contribute your contributions back to the project. So if you make any changes, do please, contribute back to the code that I just sent you that link to. But the goal is to make it really easy for people to use Steam for whatever. I heard somebody mention earlier in the show that they were having difficulty connecting Steam to Unity. Yeah, difficult, isn't it? Getting Steam to talk to things right.
Continue.
Well, so that's about where we are right now. As Fuzzy mentioned, we do have to figure out funding. One of the things that we're going to be doing is turning this into kind of a company. And I'm just trying to think up kind of what our next steps are. But
well, the witness is one of them. I know that
I
am more than willing to pay witness funds to you guys to continue working on this, because like I said, the Beyond Bitcoin site is a good place for us to send people to as kind of the showpiece and say, okay, this is what it looks like. There can be customized things done for a price, but you might be able to lower that price a little bit in your end goals if you have a guaranteed payment coming in, as opposed to just hoping that people upvote your content,
Well, that really depends on what people want. The price is entirely determined by their needs.
I mean, my point is that you don't have to stress out quite as much about feeding yourself.
True.
If we have the witness.
I should say, this is going to be an ongoing thing. One of the things that we've actually looked at doing is possibly launching a more generic content-backed blockchain. Basically, so Steam is here's my conceptualization of the whole thing. Steam is a blockchain that the currency is backed by the value of the content on the site. Now, there's some argument to this, and if you disagree, go ahead and say something too, because I actually love talking through stuff like this. But that's my feeling about the Steam currency, about Steam dollars. All of it is supported by the value of the content and by the solid information provision of all the witnesses, basically. Because there are 19 witnesses, and in fact, I think there should be more, but because there are 19 witnesses, you know that your content will be there. I don't know if, I'm sure that there are people in here who have put stuff on the web, and then something gets screwed up on the servers, and their content, the stuff they actually entered into the application, is gone. And that permanence is actually what draws me to Steam. When I write an article on there, I know it's always there. And with the tools that Fuzzy asked us to build, basically, we know that that content is now reusable in different applications. In whatever environment you need to use it in, whatever. Because we make it available in a very standardized, very easy to use format. So the next steps to this look like finishing up WordPress, but that's not actually our end goal at all. End goal is creating a brand new content management system that runs across a network. Exactly. Yes. Bingo. Thank you, IntelliGuy. And this way, you don't need to worry about, possibly not having your data. It's just there. If you throw up a blockchain node, it syncs, and now you have even local access to your data. But as you know, there are also public endpoints, so you can get at your data from wherever. Now imagine this. You have an application for a web server. You load the application on the web server, and then suddenly, from anywhere, it loads your content. So just by entering your private keys, you can, actually, you wouldn't even need to enter your private keys. Sorry, that comes kind of later. But anyway, just by setting the username or the tag, then your content loads. If it's private content, you encrypt it with your public key and can decrypt it with your private key.
Yeah. Now, is there planned to be like a coin along with this chain, or how is that planned? Is it something that can work with things like Scenario and Steem, or how? Just give us some details.
Oh, sure. So Scenario doesn't exist. Let's start there. I have no idea what the hell they're doing, and I spoke with somebody close to their team, and it was very strange. I mean, basically, what looks like what's happened, if you look at my Twitter account and search Scenario, you'll see me discussing this, and in Teleguy, that's not necessarily the case. It depends on the formatting of the content. Steam's database is extremely specific, okay? It's designed for Steam. Now, if you wanted to store generic web content, for example, a web forum, even, like video game save data, that is why we're looking into another chain. And for those of you who are a little more technically inclined, what we're looking at building is basically the blockchain equivalent of a key value store. Okay, so extremely simple database methodology, extremely fast. Are there some things that hasn't been done yet? What?
And that has not, to my knowledge, been done yet in the blockchain space.
Not from a storage perspective. Now, there are blockchains that, not from a storage perspective, no.
And real quick, now this is also then something that people who use Steam could use to host their content in some way, shape, or form, right?
Well, yeah, that's the front end component. And see, basically what we're going to do is have a front end that connects to Steam or to this other chain and then renders the content, because the content is stored in the blockchain. So I want to ask IntelliGuy though, IntelliGuy, do you get what I'm talking about with Steam's database being too specific for some needs? For example, if you were saving video game, save game sessions, stuff like that, it unfortunately Steam would fail.
I do understand that. I think it's the question that needs to be investigated and answered on a creative way, because without the value of Steam increasing, you're not going to have your blockchain to be using for third-party reasons.
Sorry?
Without the value of Steam holding its value or increasing, you won't be able to continue to use the Steam blockchain if it goes defunct, because Steam has tanked.
Do you feel like, all right, let's talk about this for a second, okay? I really, it's worth addressing, certainly. So the price of Steam is in the shit puddle. This is true. And basically, that's not why we're creating this key value store chain, because basically I'm looking at a wider range of use cases than Steam can cover. So let's just talk about blog-like content, okay? And let's talk about Steam, because I do want to do whatever possible to boost the price. So one of the things that my friend Blue Choo Choo said to me, that's Twitter, Blue Choo Choo, like Choo Choo Train. One of the things that she said to me was that, Steam needs more opportunities for content reuse. Okay, it's too difficult right now, for example, for people to edit their posts in the past. After 30 days, you can't edit a post. And so if I were looking to boost the price of Steam, which I am, I would be working on things like that. The next thing that I'd be working on, and this is actually the first step of everything that I talked about, is this next thing. So this next thing is getting more interfaces for Steam. And that's what the second iteration of what you currently see at beyondbitcoin.io is going to be like. It's going to be a way of rendering that Steam content rapidly and in different ways and in a user-friendly way. Money incentives, discuss. Which money incentives are we talking about, sir?
By the way, just to comment on what you were saying about the 30-day problem, I think that's one of the key problems of the internet in general. When you go and do a Google search for content and you find something that somebody's written 8 years ago, yes, it may hold some value, and sometimes you really got to dig to get it. But it's also plastered. Google serves so many results with stale dated content that has no bearing in today. So you got to go and sift through so many dated posts that have no value just to find the posts that do have value. So anything that can keep the information current or encourage it to happen is great. So I also don't like the fact that I can't edit my 30-day posts.
Yeah, especially because, Steam loses out on a lot of wiki-like abilities because of that. And it's a pity, and I really hope that we see that changed soon. I know I've been quite vocal about it on the site. And so you know, and I don't know what your level of technical skill is, but inside of Steam, when you edit a post, what it saves is a diff. So there's really no reason for that 30-day rule. None, as far as I can tell. And there's no real storage impact or size impact on storing more diffs. Diffs are extremely efficient and fairly easy, although I hate managing them, good God. But so
maybe there's another reason for it.
What? That they suck to be managed?
No, I'm saying maybe there's another reason why the development team chose to lock it after 30 days. I just can't think of why.
I could probably surmise
there
why.
is none. As far as I know,
I could probably surmise why is because when you have the blockchain and you're crawling the chain to be able to solve the diffs, you really only want to crawl the last 30 days worth of data to produce the final output of the post. Because if you have something that's 2 years old, how much crawling do you have to do to produce the finalized version?
Yeah, I don't actually agree though. Reason I don't actually agree is that right now, when you run SteamD, it stores the whole thing in RAM. I can show you on my servers, 20 gigabytes stored into RAM, and that's good. Okay, I think that DVs of such scale should always be stored in RAM. Always. Always, always, always.
No, a custom miner says reward calculation complexities are the issue.
Okay, and custom miner, that's actually a really good point. And that's one of the only reasons that I considered for this happening. About that, I usually, when I'm updating an article, I'm not expecting another reward. So maybe just reward at 24 hours and 30 days, and don't repay for edits. But I don't know. There could also be another scenario where users get paid for keeping a post particularly up to date. But this is the thing. The Steam blockchain is built for this. And the reason we're looking into making another chain is because we want to have something that is a lot less specialized.
So the question is, though, it can't be done with Steam.
Currently, no. Well, it depends which piece you're talking about, Fuzzy. Can we make new interfaces for Steam? Oh, yeah. No problem. But, for example, can we save video games, save game data on Steam? Maybe. but it becomes like a hell of a
WikiLeaks site where people have to keep updating the WikiLeaks stuff, maybe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That sort of stuff gets a bit more debatable, and so that's how I got into this whole let's do a blockchain key value store, basically.
Well, Bytemaster, when he first talked about Steem, I will never forget. Somebody said, is it going to be a competitor to BTS? And he said, Steem is designed to do a specific thing. It's not going to go outside of that. So,
and I have to say, it does a really specific thing. It's like a knife that you only use to cut turkey. Maybe it's not very good at doing any. I have headphones. Should I be using them? No.
I'm just saying why there's echoing.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where that is going. Basically, when you want. Well, so actually, IntelliGuy, one of the things that we are likely to build earlier is, let me try to describe this well. So you have an account on Steemit. This software tool has an account on Steemit. And this software tool has an account on BitShares. Okay? And we want to make it possible for Steemit users to first pay to create a token. Okay, so now you have a BitShares token, right? And second, for a database to resolve Steemit users to BitShares users, so that once something is known, like for example, I'm Faddat on Steemit and Jacob Gadakian on BitShares, once that relationship is known to the application, then basically I can be given cryptocurrency assets by anyone who chooses to give them to me via an interface that is neither Steem nor BitShares. Basically, it's an application that interacts with both systems. Everybody kind of get that?
Yes, and I think these curation groups that are forming for Steem, for instance, gravitate to something like that and find new and creative ways of making that a very important synergy.
Oh, I agree. And this, I gotta say, this is all Fuzzy's concept, and it's excellent. And I wouldn't be chasing it if it wasn't excellent. This is what he's had in his crazy head for a couple years now, and definitely worth chasing. So yeah, that's
all I can say is I'm glad that I've had enough funding get even close to the minimum viable product to show people what we can do, because I think that if we get support with the witness and we can pay you guys on a consistent basis, even if this is just a hobby of yours that and you have something else going on, this is something that'll bring a lot of value to the ecosystem. One of the biggest problems that I had, and I just cannot stress this enough, when I go out, if I go out and I spread Reddit comments, right? If I posted something on Reddit and then I went out on Telegram and Slack channels and all these different went to all these different crypto communities, and I posted something, a post that I post on Reddit, everybody would, people would look at it. Some people wouldn't, but nobody would get upset about it. Nobody would really get frustrated with me if I did it just, once a day or something like that, or maybe 2 times or 3 times even a day. Most communities would be fine with that. But if I go on there and I post something with Steemit as a post to Steemit as opposed to Reddit, I'm going to get bitched at. I'm going to be called a spammer, especially if I do it more than once in a day. Yes. So whenever I have a website where I can link people to my content and other Beyond Bitcoin content from beyondbitcoin.io, now And other people can do the same thing, right? You know, if you're adding Beyond Bitcoin as a tag to your content, like all of you guys have been on the trending page at some point in time that I've seen, right? So if you would go and link to that link to that site, to that link, and send it out to people on Telegram, now you're looking at something much different, right? They're not going to bitch and complain because they don't realize that Steem is the back end of it unless you tell them.
Yeah, and actually this is a pretty important thing. And it sucks because I can't figure out for the life of me why more people haven't moved away from Reddit. And this comparison, you know, I just saw on that GitHub issue.
More people, and they
got posted here.
They like Habit.
Well, they like Habit so much it cost them several $1,000s.
Of course.
And my point with saying that is this, that, you know, look, I didn't really do anything extraordinary in using Steemit. I did write some posts that I probably wouldn't have written otherwise, but actually that's good. That increases your online reputation or what have you. You know, personally, I like changing to a system where my content, my ideas are compensated. That's awesome. Whereas Facebook, you know, Facebook on the other hand, one way of looking at it is as an idea aggregation system, Facebook's machine learning algorithms to play with. So, yeah.
And what is their goal when they're playing with these things?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. Nobody tells us.
Probably not exactly. If it was a good thing, they'd probably be screaming it from the rooftops. So just the fact that it's not really open gives you at least a reason to look into it or expect the worst.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, with people criticizing Steem as a scam, if I made $1, then Steem is less of a scam than Facebook.
Well, that's why I tell people that, yeah, IntelliGuy, you and I should talk a little bit more about this too. I would like to get in touch with PPC, man, if you can reach out to him for me, because I think that PeerCoin, I think all these different crypto communities could have their own websites, and we could actually link to them in Beyond Bitcoin too. So I'm really considering how we could go forward doing that. And I think that would be something that would substantially help the PeerCoin community too. Because if you look at the Gridcoin community, man, these guys are doing a lot of stuff, and they might not be getting paid a bucket of money, but they're getting paid.
No, I'm just going to read it into the channel so it makes the archive that one-stop shopping is what built Walmart. So Fuzzy's idea of a replicating website for individual people or projects makes a lot of sense to me. And I said that I don't want to be a fragmented IntelliGuy over multiple social media sites. So if you want to see what I'm saying about something, you shouldn't have to go to 5 different sites depending on the 5 sites I'm using. So if I can just have one website each page, then anything that I'm doing I can post there, and I'll be like, go to my Fuzzy website version and see my private page or my
totally.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, this is why whenever I talk to people, they're like, Fuzzy, what's your plan? And it's like, my plan is to move forward with the tools that I need to build in a way that I know that they're going to get built, and then to go from there to figuring out how to monetize it, and then maybe build it perfectly. You know, we need this stuff now, and a lot of it cannot be planned. You know, because you never know what tools you're gonna have available. Like 8 months ago, I would have never told you Steem was going to be a tool that I would have available. So if I would have had a plan exactly in my mind at that point in time that wasn't flexible, that I had written down and I had like gone through the process of making it feel final to me, if Steem came out, I'd be like, well, shit, now I've got to rewrite the entire thing. We're going to get to the point where we can start distributing tokens and ownership through various other chains and adding new value propositions for the Beyond Bitcoin tokens. But it's going to take some time, and seeing what tools are going to exist and what can't exist. And, because what Faddat's saying, I understand. There is a lot of value to having a Wikipedia kind of thing, that if Steem can't do it on its own, it's not like Steem won't succeed because there's a Wikipedia out there. Kind of, it might mean that Wikipedia might not succeed, right? Just like Steem, it means that Reddit might not succeed, but both of them could make plenty of money for a lot of people.
Very true. Very true. One of the reasons why we're seeking to be generic is covering new ground. Being able to store your data and just know that it's there is such massive utility. And that includes, guys, with even some like fairly... Wait, Wikipedia is desperate for funding ideas. I thought Wikipedia had a bunch of money.
No, they're always asking for my
Genesis
monthly payments.
Who is?
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I've approached them with money-making ideas, but they're a little bit they're not too willing to take it in. I think they've got a pretty standard model because they're just so vulnerable to people bitching at them for covering something objectively instead of subjectively instead of objectively. I really think they got to keep their plate clean in order to maintain their legitimacy. So I always thought that it's a public good, it's well bounded in its own area, and as long as they give it to me for free, I can do whatever I want with it. I think that's the best arrangement out there.
The big problem is with all the article writers. They own their, they have this big community, and it's hard to make any changes with that community.
Well, I've published a few articles on Wikipedia. And they accept a lot of my edits. I'm not a power editor by any stretch, and there are some very powerful editors out there. And whatever power structure they have is probably optimized. It's not perfect, but it's probably optimized.
Do you know at all? Like, are power editors, as they're called, are they compensated or?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's just such a huge. There's a billion pages. I mean, how do you get that many pages? I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
So they are compensated. They do get a lot of money. I'm not certain where. The people running it are really smart. There's Wikipedia communities. I mean, I join, I troll them a little bit. But there's ways to find these things out if you want to research it. But I always thought that as long as you keep it clean, give me good data, let me use it for free, I think that's the best I can do. I don't want you charging me for that data. And I intend to make money from it. So I have to kind of be careful about how much money I would make off it because it is free data. So I don't know. It's a balance, I think.
So are you saying that you don't know that this chain would be something that he could monetize if he wanted to make a new chain? Is that the idea that you're kind of thinking right now, or?
It's probably not a good idea to, you can't take Wikipedia and go restrict it. Like if you own a hotel, you can't restrict Wikipedia from your Wi-Fi and then charge people to use Wikipedia on the Wi-Fi through a paywall. I mean, you'd get busted for that. But I think that's kind of the thing you need to avoid. It's restriction plus payment, paywall.
One use case that I see for tokens from a blockchain would be, let's say you create a Wikipedia type chain. You might not actually have to offer the Wikipedia service itself as in return for the tokens, you could instead offer advertising materials like a Wikipedia type of T-shirt or mug, or something like that for your tokens. So, I mean, I know that that's not the best thing in the world, but it would be something that would be better than, a lot of people get in something like Wikipedia right now for moderating and stuff like that.
I think the best use right now for Wikipedia, which is totally under the radar of anybody that I've seen, is mapping. Mapping against it, because it's so you can map Wikipedia and see connections that are really quite valid. I mean, they're socially valid connections between different tags and wiki tags. And if you map those and then you take your data and compare it to a Wikipedia map, you can extract phenomenal predictive data, incredible linkages or opportunities where Wikipedia shows a linkage that you don't. That would be an opportunity to do something with it. So the business intelligence inside Wikipedia has got to be absolutely enormous. And the way to compare yourself to that would not be infringing on Wikipedia in any way, but you're adding value to your customers, and you could easily convert a coin in there.
I can see how you're talking about mapping the relationships, essentially, right?
Well, yeah, because Wikipedia it represents a state of the world. It really does. And as soon as if you get a big hot issue or somebody and somebody on it and tries to pervert the issue, then there's a lot of people jump on them. So it equalizes, it normalizes, and then some big editor comes in and settles the case. There's arbitration in there. I mean, it's doing what society can't do without just tons of noise. It's doing with extreme purity. And that is massive.
That is a good way of saying it. They do really boil down that process, don't they?
It's a form of governance, and it could be a governance model as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in terms of getting good data, the best possible data, let's say. The only problem I'm worried about is once it becomes that important, it's going to get corrupted. But I don't know. We're not there yet, I don't think.
Blockchain for governance makes hella sense. I just want to. I'm working on another project. You guys probably heard of it, Steam City. Now, is anybody here going to SteamFest? True. Also true.
That's why these economic layers that the blockchain can provide, in addition to the governance and any other service, is so important. Well, I'll say this, Faddat. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you guys can do, and hopefully getting more people who are interested in coding and building cool stuff working with you guys. And I'll just say that the Hangout this time is going to be drawing to a close, but it's something that I think is very important what you're doing, and I cannot thank you enough for helping with the project and helping me to bring something to the world that, I've told people in these Hangouts on a couple occasions that if I had the tools that I know I need, or something similar to it for a while, if I would have had these tools, then I think that Beyond Bitcoin would be a much stronger force even than it is today to be able to help projects that need it and to also help BitShares in the long run. So I do want to say, thank you, and I'm going to consistently ask once we get this witness stuff set up. I'm going to consistently ask people to consider upvoting our witness and other people to consider promoting us as well. And I'm going to be starting to do witness hangouts. You guys have heard this officially here first before I even post about it. So soon the people who get voted up by Fuzzy Vest are going to be people who join witness hangouts and answer questions from the community. So just wanted to let everybody know what we're doing, and thank Faddat for helping to show what we're accomplishing. So here in the coming months, if we get a lot of support and you guys, just do little things that you can think of to help us out, I really think that we can build this site into something that everybody can clone into their own site. And once that happens, I really think that you're going to see Steam get pumped pretty damn hard. Because once people realize,
I agree with that. Having successful is really important.
That's my thinking. Because if we can make it so everybody who has a blogging site and a few, a good number of users, if we can get them to be able to have their own website with Steam in the back end, where they can get upvotes from the users who are part of their community, that's just opening up another revenue stream for them. And in addition, it's even being able to pay out to the community members a little bit as well. So these are things that I think that if we open that can of worms, that we're going to have a bunch of fish before the sun sets.
I like the way that you guys are soliciting as many comments and divulging as much of your plans and taking all of this information ahead of time. A lot of places will do an ICO, raise funds, and then build it and then solicit comments along the way, and that's the wrong way of doing it. So if anybody wants to get involved with this kind of stuff, just even to have their opinion heard or implemented in the code, this is great the way you guys are rolling this out, because you're being very open about what you're doing.
Well, my thinking has always been, when you have these ICOs, people come out without really ever doing anything. They just have a white paper and they say this is what they're going to do. And they ask for all this money, and generally they get a lot of money. But to me, if we can ask for, it was worth it for me to use some of the money that, well, I won't lie, it was a lot of money to do this for me. But to be able to do that and show people, this is where we're at and what we're doing, that helps to show people that we're actually serious and we're doing stuff. So if there's ever a time when an ICO for something like another chain or something might come up, that people will at least know that the stuff that Faddat has been doing and his team have been doing, that and what I've been supporting, that we are all people who are trustworthy, and they can afford to put a couple Bitcoin down on whatever project is being worked on, because they know that we didn't ask for anything, that I didn't ask for any money until after I've shown people what we can get done, So that's kind of my take on it. It's probably not the smartest one if I want to, pay off a house and have my, have a brand new car and a swimming pool in the backyard. But it's, at least in the short term, it isn't. But I think that this is something that we need to, just like if you paid attention to what I said about Golos, we need to try to hold ourselves accountable and show that we're serious about this stuff. And once we do that, I think the funding will come in, because people will know that this, in this wild, wild west, that there are at least a couple sheriffs in town.
I bow my head in respect for the way you did do it, Fuzzy, and I think it's a lesson to be learned by a lot of people, and that's fantastic. So you've earned a lot of bonus points in respect in my books, and I think the community at large will see that as well. So congratulations on doing it the right way.
Well, I'll tell you what, the day that I see Faddat and Tuan making a decent bit of money, making a bunch of websites for everybody on Steemit, that will be my thanks. Because I assure you, if every whale did something and thought like I'm thinking right now, and I'm not kissing my own ass, I'm just saying, I don't know what other whales are doing, but if other whales are thinking anything close to how I'm thinking and are putting down money to help and time and effort to help, Steem is going to go up. It's only a matter of time. Now, let's hope that all these Steem whales will start helping us to build these things and paying people like Faddat and Twan. And let's hope that when Twan and Faddat do someday come out with this new chain that he wants to build, that it's not something that the Steem community cuts his head off for and sticks it on a pike, and instead they see it as the two projects as symbiotic. That's another one. But thank you, IntelliGuy, and I want to thank Faddat too, because he's been moving around all over Asia and still found a way of getting a lot of this stuff done and finding the people to help in the areas where he can't. He probably could hack stuff together, but being honest and saying, these are the places where I need to get somebody, and this is new stuff, so it's not always going to be easy, but we're building some cool stuff, and I look forward to people using it. So I hope that you guys reach out to Faddat, and I hope that you guys tell everybody else about what we are doing here, so they can look at it as an option for them.
What is the project called? Because you need a label for it, like a quick one word label, so we can keep saying that word.
Oh boy, that is
something
really
rotating around beyond Bitcoin if possible.
Call it Nexus. It's designed to be a place
Steem.
where things come together.
I don't know, because Nexus is, I guess Nexus is a kind of, Nexus is a good name, but it doesn't really make you think of a community. Because what I think of when I see this is a bunch of different websites that are essentially affiliates with one another.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, totally.
Could we call them mesh sites? No. Fuck, that's a good question, IntelliGuy. That's a really good point.
And that has to happen now, so this is not a wait till later thing. Yeah, this is not a wait till later problem. I heard that. I'll give you the example of that. I think it was PeerPlays or something that they said this is our first fundraiser, and then they had another fundraiser, and they called them the same thing. And I was like, no, you got to come up with labels so that people can think of it that way.
No, I do like the idea.
I won't wait till next week, but I'll kind of take the day on it and try to think about it. And Fuzzy, you too, okay? Because I don't know what to call it yet. So far, I've been calling it the suite of tools for Fuzzy's project.
I've been calling it the Beyond Bitcoin template.
Well, that works. That works for the web front end stuff. I think it is Beyond Bitcoin template.
But it needs to be something. I do understand that IntelliGuy, whenever he says it, he makes the point. And let's just face it, calling it the Beyond Bitcoin template is not the point he's making. And he's right.
True.
There needs to be Project Eagle Claw or something like that,
You got it, like that. And then the word has to have some excitement and interest.
Block press.
Did you just say cock press?
Block press. Like WordPress, but for blockchains.
I agree with that one. That sounds really cool, block press. And the reason why you don't want WordPress is an individual site that you have to market yourself. BlockPress is a series of all blockchain technology in one unified place. This is like unified messaging all over again, but in a different way.
Thanks. Coming up with names is kind of my thing.
Well, damn, that's a good one, man. I'm digging it.
I think we just came up with the word and the slogan. Unified something. Oh, I don't even know what I just said.
And Fuzzy can have it. Fuzzy's or whoever gets there first. But I deed it to Fuzzy.
Thanks, man. Well, I think that it's something that we definitely need to be working on. And I'll say this, Faddat, I don't know if you're interested, but we might be able to get a worker proposal for BitShares to be added onto this sucker in the future.
I'm interested, because integrating BitShares is one of the key features as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. My thinking is that might be a source of funding as well. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't seem like going for a witness is going to be too popular in BitShares. That worker proposal is going to be because witnesses are expected to do one thing, kind of part of more of the culture of the community. At least that's the general consensus. I kind of am an outsider on this one, but I can see I can understand why they say what they say. But a worker proposal would be something that could still get paid for. And I think that actually, if we get the let's get the Beyond Bitcoin site polished like Twan, you and I were talking about yesterday, and then I can start showing it off to people in Steam. I could start reaching out to some whales. Maybe you guys can reach out to some whales and ask people to consider upvoting what we're doing, because this is something that I think will be very helpful for us to have. But what I was going to say is another thing that could be done would be a user-issued asset that people could buy to buy into BlockPay. I just don't know how you'd pay them back anything.
Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Because actually, I thought of the same thing, but I reached the same conclusion. I don't know what return that we could give. Although if we sold websites, that would be different. So there's that, I guess. Because, then we could pay them back out of the revenue from the websites.
That's true. I mean, you could add that subscription fee model and then take a percentage cut of the that's cool. That's a cool idea too, IntelliGuy. Well, yes. Here is the premium feature that for a long time, actually, if Crypto Prometheus were here, he would be telling you that really around the earliest days of me and him talking, I always told him, I said, what if, Crypto, just imagine if I could create my own website or a forum where people could use BitShares tokens to power up different posts. And whenever you power up a post, you say, like for instance, I power up your post and I say, I'm going to power this up with 500 BitShares, and it's going to pay out 2 BitShares for each triggered action, like for each share. So then Bob goes up and he sees, it looks like this link has been powered up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upvote this, and then I'm going to share it on Twitter. Okay, I earned 2 BTS there. I'm going to share it on Facebook because that icon is right there. I get 2 more BTS. I'm going to share it on Reddit. Get 2 more BTS there. And I can only do that as a subscriber to the BitShares website.
La 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 la.